In this video, we got another episode of the Start Bench Cut series. If you guys don't know what this series is, you guys will let me know 3 different players on Twitter at X7Tanaka. I'll put out a tweet saying, give me 3 players for a Start Bench Cut video, and then you guys will let me know in their replies 3 different players, and I'll have to tell you who I would start, who I would bench, and then who I would cut out of the 3 different players. So for example, the first one is going to be Billy Knight, Kobe, and T-Mac. So I'll have to tell you who I would start, who I would bench, and then who I would cut for these 3 shooting guards. If you guys also want to let me know in the comment section down below 3 different players, I'll respond to every single comment and tell you guys who I would start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut between those 3 different players. So the first, starting off here with the video, first one is going to be from Blasian. So I don't know who he's talking about with Ellington. He says Ellington, Bender, and Dark Matter Braun. I type in Ellington on 2KDB, like Ellington, right? I don't see anything pop up. So the only guy I can think of is Wayne Ellington. Is he talking about Purvis? Is he talking about Bender? Like, I don't know who Ellington is. So for this one, I would just rank between Bender and Dark Matter Braun. For me personally, I do think Bender is the best small forward in the game. So I would start Jonathan Bender, bench LeBron, and then cut whoever the hell is Ellington. Like, is it Purvis Ellison? Wait, that's probably who he probably meant Purvis Ellison, right? He probably meant Purvis Ellison because that's probably, yeah, he meant Purvis Ellison. Yeah, he must have meant Purvis Ellison. So I'll just count Purvis Ellison in this, ranking. So I would start Bender and then I bench Purvis because I do think Purvis is a better all-around small forward than LeBron. LeBron just needs a new jump shot because that Kyle Korver release just really isn't that great with the LeBron upper. So for me personally, I would start Bender, bench Purvis if that's who he's talking about, and then cut Dark Matter LeBron. Next one is going to be, like I said earlier, Billy Knight, Kobe, and T-Mac. T-Mac's like the best card in the game and easily the best shooting guard. So it really just comes down to Kobe and Billy Knight. I think for me, just off face value, I would probably take Kobe Bryant. He's going to have better all-around stats if we're not counting Billy Knight with the duo. So I'd probably take Kobe. They got like the same height, the same wingspan. Player model in game is very, very similar as well. Stats wise, I mean, yes, Kobe's got a little bit more stats, like a +5 3 ball, +4 perimeter, +8 block is a big difference as well. So all around, I mean, Kobe's stats are better. He's got more badges, especially in Hall of Fame. He's got like, Agent 3, or not Agent 3, he's got Amped, Blinders, Mini Magician doesn't really matter too much, Challenger. So he's definitely got some more badges like Killer Combos, Handles for Days is a pretty big one, Hyperdrive. So all around, it really comes down to the animations, and that's where you could say Kobe, or you could say Billy Knight is a little bit better animations wise, because jump shot, I still think I probably prefer Billy Knight's release. I think it's just an easier jump shot to green, but I think all around, if we're looking at an all around shooting guard, I would say Kobe is probably better than Billy Knight. So I would go start T-Mac, bench Kobe, and then cut Billy Knight. Next one is going to be Bender, Bantam, and Bill. I would say it's really between Bill and Banter, because I think Bantam is probably going to be getting cut. He's still a very good small forward. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, Mike Bantam is still a very usable, obviously, and a very, very good small forward. I just think Bill Russell and Jonathan Bender are probably the 2 best small forwards in the game, and it really just depends if you want defense or if you want offense, because Bender's 7 foot with a 7'4" wingspan, so they got the same wingspan. Bill's a little bit shorter, 2 inches shorter to be exact, and then stats wise, yes, Bill Russell's going to be a ton better, but if you go to the animation screen, I think that Jonathan Bender's got a better jump shot. He's got better dribble sigs. So I mean, it really just comes down to what you need, because if you want defense at your small forward position, then you go for Bill Russell. If you want the better all-around small forward and a card that's going to be super elite on offense while still being a good defender, then I would start Bender, bench Bill Russell, and then cut Mike Bantam. Next one is going to be LaMelo, Oscar, and Lonzo. This is a close one because none of these guys I do think are the best point guard in the game. I would say it's between Lonzo and LaMelo for who's going to be the better point guard. I would say cut Oscar. I think he's solid. I'm not like the biggest fan of that jump shot though, but I'm not going to hate on Oscar. I think he's a solid point guard. I just don't think he's on the same level as the 2 Ball brothers in Lonzo and LaMelo. Height, wingspan, very, very similar. I mean, LaMelo does have the advantage being an inch taller with 3 inches on the wingspan. Stats wise, Lonzo kind of has him beat on the stats. Like, he's got way better defensive stats, +4 interior, +4 perimeter, +10 block, and +5 steal. So I would say stats goes to Alonzo. Badges, I mean, they got basically the same badges. There's not really going to be a huge difference. Lonzo might have a little bit more finishing. Playmaking is the exact same. LaMelo probably has more shooting. Yeah, he does, like blinders, deadeye, guard up, but then Lonzo might have a little bit more defense. So very similar in the badge count. I would say Lonzo probably takes it a little bit stats and badges wise, but animations is where we get to the biggest difference. And position. Both their size ups I don't really think are great between Lonzo and LaMelo, so their size ups pretty much cancel each other out for both being kind of bad. And then they have the exact same escape. They have the exact, like, they basically have the exact same SIGs, except that LaMelo does have the Dame behind the back. So it really just comes down to the jump shot. And yes, Lonzo does have, or LaMelo does have the better release. Lonzo's might be a little bit quicker, you know, just looking at the release timing, but LaMelo's jump shot I do believe is quicker in game. Dunk packages wise, I mean, they got very similar dunk packages. That, like, the only one that really matters is quick drops off one. It would have been nice to see Lonzo have a little bit more dunk packages. So I would say, I don't know, because I value defense. Like, I really like a card that plays defense at point guard. I think for me personally, I would start Lonzo, bench LaMelo, and then cut Oscar. But I know most people will probably start LaMelo, bench Lonzo, and then cut Oscar Robertson. Next one is going to be Purvis, Bender, and Bantam with the small forward duo. So I still think it stays the same. I still think Bender's starting, Purvis is getting bench, and then Mike Bantam is getting cut, even with the duo and the fact that he has 30 Hall of Fame badges. I mean, maybe he's better than Purvis then. I'm not exactly sure. I just don't think he's better than Bender. So, I mean, it really comes down to between Purvis and Bantam for who's going to get benched and then who's going to get cut. But I would probably still stick with Purvis as being a little bit better than Bantam. So for this one, even with the duo, I would start Bender, bench Purvis, and then cut Bantam. Next one is going to be Anthony Davis, Greg Oden, and Chris Bosh. All three very similar power forwards. Like, I don't think there's too much of a difference between these two guys or between these three guys. I would personally start Chris Bosh. I like his jump shot the most out of these three, and I do think all around he's the best power forward out of these three guys. And then between Anthony Davis and Odom, I don't really like either two of these cards. Like, I think they're kind of both mid in a sense where their jump shots really aren't the great. Is it crazy to take Odin? Is it crazy to take Greg Oden over Anthony Davis? I mean, I'm not sure if you're talking about center or power forward. I'm assuming you're talking at power forward. I know it's kind of crazy. I'm taking Greg Oden. I know it's crazy to say, but I'm starting Chris Bosh, benching Greg Oden, and then cutting Anthony Davis. Next one is going to be Tim Thomas, Rudy Gay, and Jonathan Isaac at the 3. For me, this one's very simple. Start Jonathan Isaac. He's a much better small forward than Rudy Gay and Tim Thomas, in my opinion. Just gives you so much more on the defensive end. And then I would still bench Tim Thomas. You still got to remember, he's got one of the best jump shots in the game. He's got really good SIGs, and he's 6'10" at small forward. So I'd bench Tim Thomas and then cut Rudy Gay. Next one is going to be Jonathan Bender, Isaac, and Bill Russell. Very similar to a couple ones we've already talked about. Once again, I think Bender's the best small forward. I think Bill Russell's the second best small forward. And then after that, it's probably Purvis or Danny Ferry. So yeah, I don't think Jonathan Isaac is on the same level as a Bender or Bill Russell. I mean, he's like on the same level, I guess you could say, but I think he's kind of that one step down. So for this one, I would start Jonathan Bender, bench Bill Russell, and then cut Jonathan Isaac. Next one is going to be Dino, AD, and Isaac. Now, I'm assuming you're talking about at power forward. I think this one, I'm honestly going to start Dino, bench Isaac, and then cut Anthony Davis. I really don't think AD is that great of a card. I would take Dino Raja over Anthony Davis and even Jonathan Isaac at that power forward position. Next one is going to be at the 1, Dame, Westbrook, and Shea. For me personally, I like Westbrook the most. I don't think any of these guys are really that great in the game anymore. Like, I don't think any of these guys are top 15 point guards, but still, I would start Russell Westbrook. I think he's super fun to use, good at going to the basket, and has a capable jump shot. And then I would probably bench Shea just because he's 6'6", has that height, and still a decent jump shot. And then for this one, I would cut Damian Lillard. Next one is going to be Purvis, Danny, and Bender. We're getting a lot of small forwards, which I did expect with the new Bender card coming out. Once again, I would start Bender, and then it really just comes down to Purvis and Danny Ferry, which is a toss-up. I mean, I think both these cards are both super amazing at the small forward position, and for me, there's no right answer. I think if you want to go Purvis, if you want to go Danny Ferry, either of them I think are both very good small forwards. For me, I like Purvis a little bit more. I have Danny Ferry personally, so I'm not even saying it's a bias, like I only have Purvis Ellison and I don't have Danny Ferry. I actually have Danny Ferry and don't have Purvis Ellison, and I'm still saying Purvis is a little bit better. So for me, I would personally take Purvis Ellison just because I think he's a little bit more well-rounded. Jump shot wise really comes down to preference, but he's got a little bit better SIGs, and then he also does have better defensive stats and badges. Next one though is going to be Ben Simmons, Isaac, and then Mobley for the power forward position. I know Ben can play power forward, but I would just play him at point guard. So I'm just going to cut him because Ben Simmons is a point guard. He's not a power forward. And then between Jonathan Isaac and Mobley for the power forward spot, I mean, Mobley's just a better fit there because he is 7 foot, but I think Jonathan Isaac's a better card than Evan Mobley, but I think for the power forward position, you still got to go with Evan Mobley. So I would start Mobley, bench Jonathan Isaac, and then cut Ben Simmons. I think Isaac's more of a small forward, and Ben Simmons is way more of a point guard. Next one is going to be Danny Ferry, Mike Bantam, and Jonathan Bender. So once again, very, very close debates at the small forward position. I would start Bender, bench Danny Ferry, and then cut Mike Bantam. I do like Danny Ferry a little bit more than Bantam. Next one is going to be Mikal Bridges, Ed, and Jared. Jared Jeffries. Now I heard this Jeffries card is really good. Haven't used him yet. I definitely got to get him on my account and try him out, but I've heard he's really nice at the small forward position. I have seen him in game. He's got a good jump shot. I just wish he had better sigs. Like, only having the pro escape and the normal leaner really does hurt the card in my opinion, but he's still 6'11" at small forward and a really good all-around card. I would probably start Ed, bench Jared, and then cut Mikal Bridges. I do think these two free cards are just that much better than Mikal Bridges. And then guys, the last one here of the video is going to be Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and Evan Mobley. So we're definitely cutting Tim Duncan. I just don't think he's on the same level as a KG or an Evan Mobley. And then I would start Kevin Garnett. He's got a better jump shot than Mobley. He's going to play just as good as defense. And I think all around is the better card. So I'd start Kevin Garnett, bench Evan Mobley, and then cut Tim Duncan. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of the Start Bench Cut series. Let me know in the comment section down below. Like I said at the start of the video, let me know 3 different players, and I'll tell you guys who I would start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut. But hopefully you guys would enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.